think I had started it and then stopped it.
No.
Sorry, watchers, we just missed the best 5 minutes of the episode. But
No, that's...
we'll re-handshake.
Yeah.
I'll just recap. I was talking about how much I respected my coaches when I was a wild teenager and playing football, and like you were just talking about Coach Holland, you guys were tough, but you had demands and you had expectations of us that you knew we were capable of achieving, and when we weren't achieving it, you got on our ass. When we did it, you complimented us. You know, you were just talking about that. So we're talking about Coach Alan Holland, who was a football legend in Farmington. So keep talking about him.
Coach Holland was the same way. I mean, he was 6'8".
Yeah.
Had an extremely deep voice and could talk with his eyes. I mean, he was just a phenomenal guy, but kind of the same way. I mean, everybody talks about it being old school. I just think it's the way things should be done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's consequences for doing things wrong. And in a ball game, if you cost yourself points, then that's the consequences.
Absolutely.
He lived on repetitions.
Yeah.
Let's do it over and over again. I'm 61 years old today, and I can still tell you on 46 powers open crossover plant.
Right.
I mean, that's what we did.
Right.
He's a phenomenal person. It's amazing. I could call him up right now, and if I had questions, I guarantee you he'd give me a hard time for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden he would, he'd get to it. But
right.
When I was coaching football at Farmington, after Jay left, and we had, a couple other head coaches, there was times that I would have questions about things, and I'd call him up and ask him about defenses or whatever, and he would act like he'd forgotten it. But, 30 seconds later, he's given me all the schemes that we needed to be successful.
Right.
So
great resource.
Great resource, great mentor. I mean, just a super guy. And then his son Jay and I have been friends ever since high school.
Yeah.
Jay was 2 years younger than me. But
great coach.
He and I and another friend of mine, Jack Gorley, we try to spend as much time as we can together playing golf. I mean, 3 old guys just out having a good time, and just really, really good people. But Alan was a huge impact on my life, like he was on hundreds of kids that came through the Farmington program.
Absolutely.
So, and then when I got the job at Farmington, the guys that were there were huge for me. I mean, my wife and I, we married on a Friday, and then we started 2-a-days on a Monday.
Really?
The following Monday. So it was just like these guys were family from the time I started. And for 27 years total with the volunteering, never left.
That's pretty incredible.
But I mean, just good people.
Yeah.
And why leave when things are good? If
absolutely.
Tractor's running good, why try to fix it?
Right.
That's kind of what was going on. So
100%. Now, I just want to read a few of these things. I was looking this up yesterday. First of all, now this is 2000. This is the year I graduated. You recognize that guy?
He's about probably 35 pounds
How old
lighter.
How old are you there?
Let's
2000.
see, gosh, 2000. What is this? 26.
Can I get this in front of the camera?
Oh my goodness.
I don't even know if you can see that.
Yeah, there wasn't much gray hair then, was there?
Not much at all. From the point. Right. I feel like a weatherman. There.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But so yeah.
Yeah, I started. Let's see, had to be 30, probably. So yeah, that's going to be about right. Yeah.
So you spent.
No. I was in 2000. I was probably 34. Yeah, that'd be about right.
So still a young man.
Well, I started. I mean, I was that non-traditional student. When I went back to college, I already had 2 kids and had been through a divorce. Before I started. At Farmington. So.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, Liz came along. We've been married now in August. It'll be 30 years.
Right on, man. That's awesome.
Phenomenal.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You can make it work.
Oh, and to be a coach's wife and to do all the things she did when we were rolling along. Because back when you came along, well, even when you graduated, I mean, there was only probably 6 or 7 coaches at Farmington.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yes, it's been a real eye-opener now that my kids are going through that to see, man, I wish we had this when I was there.
Oh, I mean, we would, my first 3 years, we would go, I was 7th grade football coach, and then junior high coach, assistant high school coach. And then once you got out of football, then I was Ronnie Davis's assistant.
Right.
And I was his JV basketball coach. And so, and as soon as that was over, we started softball.
How do you, here's a question I have for you. I mean, obviously you're doing all of the sports. Do you feel like, how did you gain such an understanding of how to win at all these different sports? Because, I mean, you've got different strategies, you've got different, I mean, how do you jump from one to another?
A lot of it was like what we talked about a while ago with Alan. You know, Alan was, his whole thing was repetitions.
Yeah.
you know, we ran the same play over and over and over. And like I was telling you a while ago, 61 years old. If you're the right halfback, I can tell you exactly what the steps are for 46 power. That was the way he did it. And then coaching with Ronnie Davis, who coached with Allen.
Right.
Now that was a wild scenario. Ronnie actually was on the high school staff when I played.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, and you know he was a part-time coach, and he ran Davis's Donuts. So he had Davis's Donuts from 2 o'clock in the morning until they closed. Then he'd go home, catch a couple hours of sleep, and then come back and practice in the afternoon.
That's
coach
hardcore.
at Farmington. And so now he and Allen had been along together for quite a while. You know, those two went to Morrilton and coached down there, and then came back to Farmington. So
did not know that.
But then he was my offensive line coach when I was a junior high head football coach.
Yeah.
Now that was pretty wild. But now you talk about common sense and let's do the things that are going to help us to win. Let's don't worry about the stuff that's not.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of times now that you watch a high school game, it looks like we're trying to do everything for style points.
Right.
Well, if the ISO is going to work, let's just do it until they stop us.
Sure.
A lot of people run ISO one time for 12 yards. Next thing you know, they're throwing out in the flats and trying to go vertical, and it's just. Those guys are just common sense.
Yeah.
So we use the same philosophy in every sport that we coached.
Right.
And we were successful at that time in every sport that we coached.
Nice.
So it was good times. Of course, to be successful, you got to have great kids.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate to have great athletes.
So how did you get into softball?
So when I volunteered for 2 years with Jay, when J.D. Matthews left and went to Texas, they called me and asked me if I wanted the job, which was phenomenal because I was getting ready to accept a job at Green Forest. It was either Green Forest or DeQueen.
Really?
Because Liz and I we'd been engaged for a while. Didn't want to go to DeQueen because I knew we'd have to put off a wedding. And so I was going to call Coach Gatto, who was the football coach at that time, AD at Green Forest, was going to take the job. 30 minutes from the point that I got the call from Vol Eads at Farmington, and he said, hey.
Coach Eads was my dad's football coach.
Oh, Vol was great for me.
Yeah.
We can talk about him all you want. He was huge in my success early.
Principal when I was there,
Yeah.
I believe. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that was, I don't know, it was. Anyway, go ahead and start your question again or whatever. I kind of got off topic.
Well, I was just asking you how you got into the head softball thing because you've been with softball now for a long time.
When you get hired, the day that you get hired at any job, it's just crazy. I mean, all of a sudden, I called Liz at 8:30 in the morning, and I said, hey, I'm going to accept a job at Farmington. All Eads just called and said, hey, do you want a job? Come see us now. And I said, so my question to you is, when do you want to get married? And so it was like, here we go. So we only had it's actually a month before two-a-day started.
Right.
When I accepted the job. So we got married, like I told you a while ago, on a Friday night, and two-a-day started on Monday.
That's crazy, man.
But I went in to meet with Jay Holland, of course, of all leads, and then Michael Gray was the superintendent at that time.
Yep.
And he told me, he said, now we're going to give you a second sport. You're going to coach basketball also, and then when that's done, then we're going to give you a third sport, and you're going to coach softball. And he says, we want to be just as successful at softball as we are at football. And it had not been sanctioned at that point. So I got the opportunity to coach the very first year that softball was sanctioned. J.D. Matthews
Is that
had
right?
it, and it was non-sanctioned. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a club sport pretty much.
Interesting.
So that was kind of wild, but yeah, that was it. And I had never really looked at the softball field. You know, they had played during the summer and everything else, even back when I was a kid,
Right.
on that same field.
Right.
But I was fortunate enough to walk over and see that we had two backstops on the same field. We had a backstop in left field, and we had a backstop behind home plate. So I knew that we, besides being Mr. Gray wanted as far as a really good team, we needed a really nice facility.
Right.
So we started making changes as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every sport that I coached.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody asked me the other day at Harvard, said, what all sports did you coach at Farmington? I said, everything except for volleyball and tennis. At that time, that was it.
Yeah.
And they said, well, what about cheerleading? I said, I even coached cheerleading one semester. And nobody believes that. But I'm in Brad Blue's office when he was the AD, and they were having problems with some mamas, and the girls, the cheerleading girls, wanted a period for cheerleading.
Got you.
I said, no problem. I said, just sit in my PE class. We can practice cheer at the same time. So that whole semester, we had cheerleaders in PE class, and I got to be the cheer coach. Now, let me tell you, I thought they were pretty good after about 3 or 4 weeks of getting to know me and how we were going to do things.
Right.
So, yeah, that was good times.
Nice. That thing automatically shuts off.
No problem.
We're still going. So, as they say, the rest is history, right? So, you were 25 years there, roughly, as head coach.
25 years head coach, yes.
You went to 8 state championships.
8 or 9, yeah, I think so.
You won 3.
Yeah, that percentage is not real good. We should have won a couple more, but they couldn't overcome their coaching.
Hey, dude, 21 conference titles.
Yeah, I believe
out
so,
of 25 years,
something like that. Yeah.
And then now Harbor.
At Harbor now, yeah.
And you've already been successful there.
Well, and there again, for 25 years coaching softball at Farmington, we had great athletes.
Sure.
I mean, and once it got rolling, you got to have great battery. You got to have good pitchers and good catchers.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we were blessed with great outfielders. I mean, I can't tell you for how many years we had a kid that came from Farmington that was playing up here on the hill at the university. And that was really neat to see your kids up there, playing.
Oh,
there.
absolutely. I can't imagine.
So to have that type of talent for 25 years was phenomenal. Then I retired for a couple of years, and Keith Fimple from Harbor gave me a call, and we talked. We sit in McDonald's here in Farmington and talked about, coaches coaching softball, and I gave him a few names, and he said, well, what about you? I don't think you've done coaching yet. And pretty flattering.
Sure.
And that was gave me something to think about for about an hour, and I was ready to go.
Really?
By the time I got back to the house, I told Liz, I said, they wanted me to take the job.
And you got season starting in a week, right?
Oh, it was close. Yeah, it was. This coming week.
This coming up, yeah.
No, the week and a half. We play Bentonville next Tuesday.
Okay.
A week from Tuesday. So yeah, it's and there again, very fortunate to walk in and have really good kids. It was just the fact that the expectations that I had were probably greater than what they had when I walked in, and it was like 1996 all over again.
Really?
So it was just, hey, this is what we're going to have to do to be successful, and not just on the field, but off the field also.
I dabble in coaching a little bit. I coached when my middle son was in 6th grade, and I coached because I saw some things I might be able to help with, some basics, some fundamental stuff that need to be out there. What I didn't expect was how attached you get to the other kids.
Oh,
I was there for my son, but then I'm working back with the secondary, and you get to know these kids, and you really get invested in them. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've had hundreds of kids that you've coached now. I mean, that's an
just
amazing thing.
Just like you, I mean, keeping up with you and seeing how you're doing, and then seeing you at ball games, and then all the people that I see when I actually do have time to go to a ball game. Now I'm watching my grandkids play, which is really cool.
How many grandkids do you have?
I have 6. I have 6 grandkids. Now we have 4 under 4, but I have a granddaughter, Arlen Walker, who cheers. She's a 7th grader. Then I have a grandson, Lachlan Walker, that plays ball, and he plays everything, enjoys it all. And then I have Brooks Hill, Ellie Hill, Piper Osnes, and Selah Osnes.
And how many kids do you have?
3.
3 kids.
Yeah.
So how do you balance being a parent, being a grandparent with coaching? Because coaching is very demanding.
I have a great wife. I mean, gosh, we could spend an hour and a half just talking about Liz Osnes and the things that she did, especially early on in my career.
A lot of bonus points coming your way.
I am so lucky. I mean, not just everything that I've been involved with. I've had great people around me.
Yeah.
And coaching-wise, great athletes.
Yeah.
But you were talking about kids and everything else. I'm going to say once every other day I get a text. And normally I get phone calls, or I'll call a former student, a player that, I talked to Rhett South last week, who, he was a golfer here at Farmington. I coached golf at Farmington for a short time, and Rhett's playing at Euler. And I know he had just finished up a little trip down to Florida and played, and he won $1,000, I don't know, in the pro shop. He finished 7th. And, just to hear these guys be successful, to hear these young women be successful. I mean, Cassie Long is a principal now.
Yeah,
You doing everything that you're doing. This show right here is pretty cool. Just the people that I've had the opportunity to be around. I mean, doctors, lawyers, teachers, musicians. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
But then you go back to the coaches. I mean, Steve Morgan, you've had him on here.
Man, I've had him on here, and I love Coach Morgan. I have so many stories, and we got to some of them when he was on the show. But, man, his Spanish class, when he'd bust out that guitar. And when his episode aired, we covered a Grateful Dead song we played together. And then once the episode came out, all the comments were, where was Cheeseburger in Paradise?
Yeah.
So I got to have him back on to do Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Morgo's the best. And we would get to a certain point, like in softball season, that the kids would give him a hard time, say, hey, you got to pull the guitar out.
Yeah.
And he's got a pirate song that's phenomenal. and I love that.
He
But
gave me, the South Winds band that he plays in.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had done so many albums. He
Oh,
gave me
yeah.
copies of all the records, and man, like he's making guitars now.
they recorded at Sun Records.
Yeah,
We
he
took a
told me the
trip.
story.
Yeah,
He
took
said
a
Neil
trip.
Peart had a drum kit there from Rush
How about
that they
that?
had there, and that's the studio of studios in the
Oh.
United States.
He's phenomenal. The things that he's done in his life, and the things that he did, back before he got into coaching.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal man that just, and his heart was always in the right place.
Oh,
and that
absolutely.
was another thing that I was so fortunate. A lot of coaches don't get the opportunity to start out with guys that truly they want to win, but yet they want to win the right way.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
want the kids that they coach to be good people and be very productive in the
100%.
community once they leave. Steve's top the list.
Yeah.
He's just like one of those guys with Alan Holland and Ronnie Davis. I mean, those
Right.
guys were just good people that were doing things the right way.
Yeah. So you give a lot of credit to the players and the people around you, but obviously you're at the center of it too. So yeah, you're a humble man, but I mean you've been successful as well, and that's awesome. You give them so much credit, but to be so successful for so long, I mean that's a testament to you. I mean
I appreciate
you're doing
that.
something right, and you've got great relationships with these players. That's a powerful thing. How long do you see yourself coaching?
My wife and I are really at a point now where we're real close to retirement.
Yeah.
And I retired once, and it's 2 years of good times. We've got a little place down in Florida, and like I said, Jay Holland, Jack Gorley, and I would take off, go down south, and play golf for a week or two, and then
Yeah.
my wife and I would take off and go back and forth. But with her working, she was still having to work remotely back and forth, and it was just
Right.
it's not the same. And when you've been together that long, I mean, you talk about best friends, she's definitely your best friend.
Right.
And she's learned how to play golf, and
That's
and
awesome.
It's one of those things where we're going to retire together.
Yeah.
And it's upcoming. Don't know for sure when, but
Yeah.
more than likely it's upcoming. So, but gosh, to do things consistently like we've done, I mean, felt like I was raised right. I had
Yeah.
great parents.
Yeah, tell me about your parents.
Gosh, my dad is in his mid 80s. My mom's in her early 80s.
So you
and
got
they-
both your parents still?
they
up?
still
That's
run.
awesome.
They're going 90-0. I mean, I had a situation that I was dealing with real estate stuff, and called my dad the other night and I said, "Hey, what would you do in this situation?" I mean, it's
Yeah.
just good.
No matter
to
how
have
old
that.
you are, you always need your
Oh,
dad. I called my dad to help me with something just this weekend.
Yeah.
It's
Call my mom to tell her that she needs to check in more. She's going to end up getting grounded, because they're just gone all the time.
Right.
But no, when I was, I had 3 other brothers who were all 2 years apart, and I'm number 3 in line, and it was the same.
four boys.
Yeah,
Good grief.
all 2 years.
I got 3, and I can imagine a 4th one, man.
We grew up. We lived in Fayetteville
Okay.
up until the last month of 6th grade, and we lived in a 2-bedroom trailer with 2 sets of bunk beds.
No kidding.
We tore that trailer to pieces. I mean,
I believe you.
So bad.
I believe you.
It was so bad. But when we moved to Farmington, of course, all of us were always into athletics.
Right.
But now,
So you went to Farmington in 6th grade? Started?
the last month of 6th grade, so I got a month of the round building. I don't know if you know what the round building.
Oh,
there on
I'd
campus-
spent all my elementary.
Yeah.
I want to go back in there so bad just to see it, just for nostalgia. What is it now? It's some kind
It's
of a.
the co-op, the educational co-op, I believe. That's what it was when I left there.
Yeah.
So I had a great time. Scott Holloway and I would roll underneath the little, I don't know what were the
little
partitions?
barriers?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you go to another class and see what they were doing, and all that. So,
That's
yeah.
how me and Jared Seipert became friends in kindergarten, because I was in Miss Risley's class and he was in the class next door. But during nap time, we'd scoot over to under those things and talk and
Oh,
trade drawings and
that's
stuff.
Jerry Seipert. So you start naming all these names, and all of a sudden I've got memories from.
Well, what's
all of
funny is when I was growing up, Jared and I were best friends, so I was at his house a lot. He was at my house a lot, and his dad was a bass player. He's actually my bass player now
Wow.
in our new band. But we'd go down and jam. Jake would play guitar. I'd play guitar. Jared would play drums. And when his dad got home from work, he'd get on the bass and jam. So I always thought Kurt was a cool dude. And then when I started the podcast up, he was one of the first people I wanted to have on.
Mm-hmm.
And some bitch got over 500 views on his. I was like, man, he's a popular guy. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
we got into playing music again because of my son. Kind of got me back into it. And the first guy I thought was Kurt. And so we called him up, and he's been playing with us for the last several months. Our first show's coming up on March 28th. So
Where are you
start
playing at?
Morano's.
Oh yeah, there you go. Awesome.
Yeah, so I met Adam Morano through a mutual friend. He came on the show. Got to meet him, and he offered us a spot when we were ready. And so it'll be our debut show. My son's 13, playing drums, and is
Oh, that's
one of
cool.
the best drummers I've ever played with.
That's really awesome.
And I showed him the basics, because that's about all I'm capable of on drums.
Mm-hmm.
And he took it from there. And I've always thought, talent only gets you so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's the work you put in.
It's true.
Unfortunately, if you don't have talent, no matter how much work you put in, it doesn't really do much.
God's got to touch you somehow.
Yeah,
He's
but
got to give you something.
if you look at the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's and the Michael Jordans, yes, they had talent, but they were also the guys that were last to leave the office.
Sure.
They were the ones watching film. They were the ones putting in that extra effort, which made them greater than great. You know, so that's to me what I like to see is, you know, that kid hadn't played a video game in 2 years. So anytime he gets free, he's on that drum kit.
That's
You know,
really
and
good.
it's that passion, and it's the only way to do it.
I agree.
Nobody can give it to you. Nobody can buy it for you. You know, that's why I'm real opposed to like lessons, because it doesn't. You know, a lot of kids just go through the motions. It's what you do after the lesson when you go home and practice and do all those things.
Well, it's great that he learned how to do that. My grandmother tried to teach me how to play piano when I was young, and I wish, you know, of course you get older and you think all the regrets, but I don't know how to play an instrument. Steve Morgan playing guitar. I mean, I never asked him because I knew he would be full tilt. Okay, we got to do this, this, and this. Another coach of ours, Zach Wiggins, who left us, went to Huntsville. Now he was with us over at Helster in Springdale, Bentonville, and now he's back. And I believe he's across town. Good football coach, but he could play. You know, I was always jealous of those guys. I mean,
What if you played an instrument? What would you want to play?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
You look like a saxophone guy, man. Like the Bill Clinton era, the silver hair.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I'd want to play. It'd be a lot of fun.
I think, you know, my dad pretty much taught me. I was just thinking about this today, actually. You know, he just taught me my chords. He's like, here's how you form your fingers. Here's how you play your chords. Now find some songs you want to learn and apply it. You know, he got me on the path, but I had to do the work. You know, and it was a great time to get into music because it was the early '90s, and so you had, you know, I had heard all that classic rock stuff, that old stuff that Dad listened to. You know, but I was into, you know, when I got my first guitar, I was in 3rd grade. That red guitar right there.
Oh, that's pretty
Dad
cool.
had traded something for it and tried to teach me how to play. I'm 3rd grade. I'm 9 years old. I'm wanting to play Nintendo and I was listening to MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. I was like, what do I want to do with this thing, Dad? And anyway, he did show me my chords and stuff. And then 4 years later, I came back to him. I said, well, let's go over that stuff again. I got to learn this Nirvana song. You know, grunge hit and music was just like a totally new sound, you know, from the 80s and stuff. And
my son got me into Nirvana. Yeah, that was I liked it. Still like it today.
My dad got me into a lot of those bands too, you know. And then when you're listening to those bands and you're listening to the interviews, then you're hearing them reference Led Zeppelin and Kiss and all these other older bands. You're like, oh, that they, you know, these guys were influenced by these older guys. Maybe these older guys are cooler than I thought, you know. So then I started going through. I know my uncle had tons of albums, so I'm listening to Kansas and Rush and.
Oh, now you get into my stuff. Yeah, that's good.
Diving
yeah.
into that stuff, and honestly, I'd say probably 90s is my favorite just because I lived it, but other than that, 70s music cannot be beat. Yeah. Zeppelin is probably Well, the Beatles were 60s, but I think the Beatles were the greatest assembled group of all time. You a Beatles fan?
I like the Beatles. Yeah.
What do you like?
Molly Hatchet. You ever listen to Molly
Oh yeah,
Hatchet?
love some Molly Hatchet.
Oh.
We got to open up for 38 Special twice.
So I like 38 Special, though. That just good music.
Told this story before, but. Don Barnes, the guitar player. We were backstage at the Amp back when it was at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
We'd won a battle of the bands at George's to get to open up for him. And our guitar player Johnny's he's in between me and Dad's age, so he's like kind of Gen X, and he's a huge 38 Special fan. And we're back behind the stage before the show goes on, and we get to meet the band. And our guitar player Johnny asked Don Barnes, he goes, "Man, do you still have the guitar that you played in the Hold On Loosely video?" And Don Barnes calls over one of his roadies and he says, "Go get such and such." And he brings him out the guitar, hands it to him. He's like, "Here it is." It was such a cool moment, you know. It's just be so nice. But those guys were cool, man. Van Zant puts on a great show. Their music's fantastic. We opened up for them at Riverfest in Fort Smith, and there was a storm coming in, which is really unfortunate because they didn't have the turnout, but that we were hoping for. But once that storm came in, those roadies had everything tarped in 2 seconds. I mean, they just swarmed up. Our stuff was up. They tarped it, everything, you know, until the rain passed through. Like, to see a professional band and how they operate with all the setup, the sound, the lights. I mean, it is a big operation when you're touring like that.
It's a big undertaking. I can only imagine.
And they had a hell of a catering service.
Oh, yeah, there you go. We're talking about Molly Hatchet. Funny thing, Roy Bynum, good friend of mine that I went to high school with and played football with. He was talking about Molly Hatchet. Of course, you know, for a long time, music I didn't know. I mean, but Molly has this. What's she sing?
Yeah.
And he got a kick out of that with like Billy Squire. I can remember pulling in the parking lot there beside the old gym, and it just had an old blue Monte Carlo, and Billy Squire just cranking. Yeah. And then when I got the job at Farmington, when my youngest daughter was born, I took her to school. I'd embarrass her all the time. There's no telling what I'd crank up then. But now, no, I'm culturally diverse. I'm big on the old classic rock. I like country, Nora Jones, Sade. I mean, you name it. Just, but now some of the stuff today that my players listen to, I don't know, man.
It's pretty wild to think, because, just for some context, when I was going to school, damn near every truck in the parking lot had a gun in it, and the car was unlocked.
Yes.
It was
if you got a new, I don't know, shotgun over the weekend, you brought it to school on Monday so you could show it off to your buddies.
Absolutely.
And then everybody had their pocket knives. Of course, I mean, growing up here in Farmington, I mean, we all hauled hay.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that I played ball with were farm kids.
Yeah.
We lived in a subdivision, but I hauled hay all the way through. I mean, from about Charlie Perkins had a farm, and then Lloyd Box and those guys. I mean, we got work chicken houses when we were 13, 14 years old.
Right.
So it was just, you had that stuff, and it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
I mean, everybody was taught, here's how you handle it, here's
Yeah.
what you do, and so on. And very few, the hunting classes and all that kind of stuff, your dad showed you that. Or your uncle.
Or your
showed
grandpa.
You.
In my case, yeah.
That was, I can remember my grandfather had a store. He had 2 stores over in Watts, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And he bait shops. He thought he'd get them coming and going, there Illinois River or whatever.
Heck yeah.
And he would trade for stuff all the time. I'll never forget, he gave me an over and under shotgun, 20 gauge 22.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, that was a gift. Mom and Dad thought it was great.
Yeah.
Now, if I go give a shotgun to one of my kids, my
God.
grandkids, what's he going to do with that?
Could you
I
imagine?
guarantee that's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's different times. Different times. You walk through metal detectors to even go to ball games anymore. It's just.
So we homeschool until 7th grade, and then they start going to Farmington. And I remember that was the first thing my oldest said. He said, "You cannot take a pocket knife to school."
No, that's.
He was shocked because every one of my kids is always,
Yeah.
pocket knife, and they just. He said he felt naked, just
Jay
without
Harper. Yeah, you had Jay Harper on here. I remember when he was dean of students and some of the stuff that he would take off of kids, and it was comical because that was the stuff that we took to school back in the day. And now, of course, some of the kids that took it off of, you're kind of worried about anyway. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's just different times.
It is wild.
You grow up differently now than what you did.
Part of the reason I started the podcast was I remember my grandmother was one of the biggest influences in my life. My dad's mom. She turned me. She was a wild lady. She was a herpetologist, so she got her degree in reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
And she had at one point, there's a picture of that hognose snake over there. She got when she did her doctorate dissertation. She had to write her paper for publication or whatever. And she did it on hognose snake breeding habits. And back then, I don't know, this was the mid '80s or so. She was putting out ads in the Star Shopper for people to bring her hognose snakes, and she'd pay them a quarter or 50 cents or whatever it was. So her whole house was full of hognose snakes.
See, I couldn't handle that.
She had a caiman, which is a little alligator in a bathtub for a long time. So she had jars of snakes and formaldehyde, and I mean she'd dissect them and stuff. So she was a wild lady, and she turned me on to Star Trek and Godzilla and all these things. She loved having a grandson. I was the only grandson. And so we had a great relationship. So when she passed in 2014, my grandpa and I weren't super close. He was a pretty stoic man of very few words. But I wanted to build a relationship with him. So we would have conversations. And one of the things I wanted to learn was, what was it like when you were growing up? Because I'm 44 and I've seen so much. And I want to hear stories about your generation and my grandpa's generation, because things have changed so much. And he would tell me so many stories. And then when he passed, I was like, why didn't I record some of that? Why didn't I, I wish I'd, because Mr. Jenkins, Wayne Jenkins,
great guy,
had a
super guy.
He gave us an assignment where we had to interview the oldest living person we knew. And I interviewed my great grandmother, who was 90 something at the time. still have it. It's a 30, 40-minute conversation with the way she grew up in the early 1900s. You know, you farmed and you rode a horse to school, and you know it just completely different. Hard to even comprehend, you know, with today's modern age. And it was just such a fascinating interview, and it was a great assignment. And and it kind of urged me later on to start asking Grandpa about these stories and hearing some of these stories. And man, it was incredible. I was like, I wish I'd have gotten some of that on film. So that's what inspired me. You know, I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan or anything. I just want to capture people that were meaningful in my lives and to hear their stories. You know?
My grandfather and grandmother on my mom's side went through the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
The movie Grapes of Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was an extra in that. He said it was funny it was easy because we're all living it anyway. So, you know.
Right.
I mean, what do you want me to do? The same thing I'm doing already.
Right.
But they were sharecroppers, and
Yeah.
you know, they started out in New Mexico and then worked their way to Northwest Arkansas and ended up living in Watts, Oklahoma, where he had a couple businesses. And then my grandmother, when he passed, moved to Muskogee. Well, not Muskogee, but it's close to Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And ended up in Tahlequah for a while. So, yeah, the stories that she passed away in her early 90s, but the stories that she told, and the stories that my mom tells me about them that they told her.
Yeah.
It's all so interesting.
It is.
The stories my dad has. He lived in Northwest
How old's
Arkansas.
your dad now?
85. So he grew up in Northwest in Fayetteville, and he had 9 brothers and sisters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they lived in a rock house, to which
Y'all aren't even Italian, are you?
my
wife's family's Italian, and there's lots of them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, family reunion. It's a
Yeah.
football stadium.
Oh well, you know, my parents used to have Sunday dinner, and
Yeah.
which was phenomenal. And then now, you know, they got to a point where they're older and things. You know, we do it at our house every once in a while, but not like what my parents did.
Sure.
But a lot of my aunts and uncles would show up a lot of times,
Yeah.
and it's just to listen to them
Yeah.
and the stories that, you know, my dad would tell my brothers and myself. That, you know, a lot of them I'll never repeat, especially on a podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was just
Some stories are best remained.
different time. And then the stories he would talk about, you know, all of my uncles and then some of my aunts and stuff. And
Yeah.
it just, my dad quit school when he was in 7th grade.
Really?
You know, had to help, you know, with the family.
Yeah.
And the jobs that he worked. And then, of course, he retired from Campbell's Soup after 42 years. You know, he said he lied on his first application so he could get a job.
Really?
So, yeah. So now what's down here, that's the taco place and the wood fire, whatever it is, pizza and all that kind of good stuff. That used to be the old co-op. Well,
Yeah.
prior to being a co-op was part of Campbell's Soup Company.
Interesting.
And
Yep.
so he'd tell me about all of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, what it was like then. Well, we grew up in Fayetteville, just like I said, in a 2-bedroom trailer just
Yeah.
down from Campbell's Soup Company. And I can remember chickens flying over the fence and turkeys and everything else. And of course, we're going to catch those things and take them home because that's going to be dinner
Yeah.
next week or two. So it was kind of those stories that I have that, you know, I've told my kids.
Yeah.
That, you know, of course, they don't believe half of them, but I'm telling you, we did it.
Did you tell your kids a lot of stories about your childhood
I've told them quite a bit.
when they were young, or did you wait till
Probably
they
when
were?
they were younger. Now, we take this upcoming year will be the first year we haven't done it in probably 8 or 9 years, but we always take a family vacation. My wife and I take all the kids,
Oh, cool.
grandkids, and we go someplace.
That's cool.
Spend a week together. You know, and it's so hard, and now with the grandkids getting older and all their activities,
Everybody's
it makes
involved
it
and
even tougher.
yeah.
So we're skipping this upcoming year, but normally about the 3rd night or 4th night of that little situation, hey, Dad, tell us about when you know,
Yeah.
Grandma and Grandpa did this, and you guys did this, and then Rick and Bob and Kevin and myself running around Fayetteville. I mean, it was a different time. I mean, I probably played more football games on the University of Arkansas football field than scholarship athletes back when I was in elementary school, because you could just walk on
Are you
and go
serious?
play until they ran you off, or you could crawl underneath the fence and get in
Yeah,
there and play.
yeah.
So, and then Barnhill Arena, you know, when I was in elementary school, there was only one side that was permanent bleachers. The other side was the wooden bleachers, the green bleachers that they brought in from the south end zone of the football field.
Is that right?
Yep, and then behind that was sawdust. And then they had universal machines. The reason it's sawdust is because that's where the football players ran during off season.
Right.
Well, it was a great place to go because we had a guy from the Boys and Girls Club that would let us in at halftime to all the basketball games. And back then we were Southwest Conference. And we could go in there and there'd be 7 or 8 of us at halftime. We didn't want to watch the ball game. We'd go find a cup and we'd go back there where all the sawdust was and wad up a cup and we'd play Kill the Man with the Cup. Well, you got to tackle them in the sawdust.
Yeah.
You know, great football field in there.
Yeah.
You know, good times. And then some guy by the name of Eddie Sutton got upset when they'd have to stop the game because there's so much dust in there that they'd have to, you know, sweep the floor. So I grew up in a great time growing up in Fayetteville Elementary with three brothers, and we were all over the campus. You know, it was so much fun.
That's cool.
Running up the hill to, you know, Fayetteville High School to watch games there. And my wife and I drove behind Fayetteville High's football stadium a couple weeks ago. And it broke my heart because they're tearing down all those old houses that were back there.
Are they?
And probably putting in apartments or whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
there were a couple homes back in there right behind the old press box on the far side, which would be the east side.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one place that when we go to the Boys and Girls Club, because that was our babysitter in the afternoon, you could climb that fence and it was just landscaped beautifully.
Yeah.
And of course we were very creative and we called it the pretty place. But yeah, that's where we were going to go. So go to school, go up the hill in elementary. If you didn't go to the university to play around, you went up there to Boys and Girls Club. Hung
Yeah.
out when you got bored there, then you go scale the fence and hang out there at the pretty place.
Yeah.
But it's just, you could do all that stuff back then.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the 70s that you're talking about,
Yep.
early 70s. And you know, we moved to Farmington in 76. And, you know, it was just a different time. You know, my parents would tell us, you know, you got to be home by dinner.
Yeah.
And then if you go back out after dinner, you got to be home by the time, you know, it gets dark.
Yeah.
And we had so many kids that we played with around, you know, Fayetteville area that everybody had the same rules.
Yeah.
And parents didn't worry.
No.
And we could go from, what was the old lamplight or trailer court, up on the railroad tracks, be anywhere we needed to be, but we knew we had to be back by dark. But
And that's very similar even to how I was raised.
Gosh,
you played outside until it was
yeah.
dark, and
we had the Washington County Sale Barn, which was just
Yeah.
a few blocks away from
Yep.
where we lived. And, you know, they had the sale on Thursday, and I'm going to tell them myself, and all the old Bartholomew's going to be upset with me, but we'd sneak in there on Wednesday nights, and we'd open up the gates and mix the cattle. You know, we just had a great time.
Man.
Had a great time doing that. And then next to that was the National Cemetery. And
Yeah.
you could walk the wall on that cemetery,
Yeah.
or you could jog that wall
Yeah, yeah.
at night until you saw the guy in the black cape that had no head. You know, of course, then you had to run from it, you know, and it's just stupid stuff like that. But my parents never seemed to worry about that because we always came home when we were supposed
Right.
to.
right.
And there wasn't the situation with abduction and things like that like there is now. So, I don't know. It was just different time. We moved out to Farmington, and it just, culture shock. Boys, I mean, it was completely different. I mean, you know, back then, where I went to school at Bates Elementary, and my older brothers went to Ramey and Fayetteville High, Bates was like the most culturally diverse elementary school in the state because
Right.
of all the professors' kids and student
Right,
kids
right,
and so
right.
on. And we moved out here to Farmington, and boy, it's 100% white.
Yeah.
You know, and Lawrence Simon's my best buddy, you know, Fayetteville, and it was just different. But it was amazing over the time that I went to school there and started coaching there, how culturally diverse,
Yeah.
you know, Farmington became. And it just, I don't know, it just
Yeah,
seems
it's funny
a
you
lot
bring that up.
different and nicer now. I don't know. It was different times.
It was different times, and that's just how it was.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up being a big Hassani Moss fan.
Love
You know,
Sonny.
I loved
Love
Hassani
Sonny.
Moss. He was my hero. I think he's 4 years older than me. 'Cause Derek's two. Yeah. Two or
So
three.
he was a senior the last year that I volunteered, and we won a conference championship in football.
I watched that game.
Yeah. And
I was a huge Hassani fan, and you know, growing up, I don't even think I ever met him because he was so. Derek and Eric were 2 years older, so I got to play with them for my sophomore year, and Derek really took me under his wing, and Eric took Danny Darling under his wing. We really had a close relationship. I'm still close with Derek, but Hassani was like, you know, I was a running back, he was a running back, and I just loved watching him. So I had him on the podcast, and I just assumed his life at Farmington was as easy as it got, you know. And man, he told me some stories.
well, now I can tell you this: he grew up on the block behind my parents,
Okay.
and so I can remember whenever I would come back home to visit certain times, I would see him and his sister running around, and my mom loved them to death.
Yeah.
And would
She
give them
was the
snacks.
sweetest girl.
Yeah, my mom loved those two kids,
Yeah.
and of course they're not kids. Or, you know, Sonny's not a kid now; he's a grown man with a great family. But
Mhm.
it was funny, and then have the opportunity to coach him.
Yeah.
Later on in my life, that was just
Well, that changed his life. He talked about how, you know, it might be an ignorant statement, but growing up in Farmington, I didn't see racism because there really wasn't any because everybody was white.
Yeah,
You know,
that was my deal when we moved from Fayetteville to Farmington. You didn't see it because there wasn't any,
Right.
Because we were all white,
Right.
And I will tell you that I after that 6th grade year, going into 7th grade, went to the fair one night and ran into Lawrence Simon, best friend of mine. Of course, when you're that young, it's like, hey, Bob, and him and all the guys I used to run around with, and it was just different. All to say, it was just a different feeling being in Farmington than it was there. It's hard for me to explain.
Yeah.
But you talk about different times and different situations. For me, growing up, it was just my life. I mean, that's who it was. And then we came out here, and then finally, as I got
so
into
you knew something different, and then came to
Yes.
something that was different.
yeah.
Whereas Farmington was all I knew.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything outside of what that box was.
Yeah.
So you had these blinders on,
Right.
And talking to Hassani, I just assumed he was the most popular kid in school. He talked about all the racism he dealt with in elementary and the bullying and
I
all
can
this
imagine. I
kind
mean,
of stuff. And Derek Soller was one of the worst of them. And they became great friends.
so Derek and Eric, of course, I coached them along with Benish and all those guys in that secondary. And had a great time, had great relationships with all of them still today. Don't get to talk to Eric as much, but I talk to Derek quite a bit. Nathan Benish is still selling sporting goods, and I get the opportunity to hang out with him, and talk with him every once in a while. I try to beat him down on some prices, but it never works. But, just guys are phenomenal. I'm sure Sonny put up with a lot. And
He
now,
did, but what changed was once he started playing football.
Yeah,
He said it changed the way people treated him. And of course he was a successful running back. He was awesome, but that's what flipped it.
And he's got some kids that are good athletes too.
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah, he does.
He was a good kid.
And
Good
Derek's
guy.
been a great mentor to my youngest son. Is my let's just say he was raised by his brothers and wolves out here. He's the third one. With the first one, I get a kick out of first-time parents. As having 3 kids, you're putting the plugs in the sockets, you're locking all the doors and stuff. And we did some of that with our first one. But by the time you have the third one, it's just like, go ahead and stick it in the socket and you'll learn. It's just you're so much more laid back with the third one than you are the first one, and it's for better or worse. But my little one's my wild man. He's into dirt biking, and I don't know if you know Rick Owens, who has 62 cycles down here. He's got a place out at Mill Creek, and Derek's been coming over. Derek actually came out and cut trails all over the property with Theo out here so he can ride and practice his enduro stuff. And Derek's been a great mentor to my son. Really appreciate that.
Derek's a good dude. I mean, he and I have had some great conversations over the years about many different things. And, you talk about former athletes and staying close. He's one of those ones that will call out of the blue, or I'll pull out behind, a Hill Electric truck or what's the other, Buzz Electric or whatever, and I'll just give him a call and say, hey, you need to shave that beard, that thing right down to his chest,
He's done that to me before. I was driving down, where was it, out Bethel Blacktop, and get a phone call, and it's Derek. I'm like, what's up, dude? He goes, you need to speed the hell up. I look back, and there's a Hill Electric truck behind me.
And then I call him up about electrical situations, and he's taking care of me on rental properties. He's taking care of me on the house. My wife loves him to death. And, but now you talk about 2 young guys back in high school that were wild. Those 2 were characters. Now they were a lot of fun to coach.
Yeah,
and
they were fun to play with, man.
Oh, and I've compared so many kids to those 2 over the years, and I've always said, I mean, that's one of the best secondaries I ever coached because they understood what they were doing, and the work ethic you were talking about. I mean, it didn't leave and it didn't stop when practice was over with. They wanted to soak it all up, and they wanted to know everything. It was almost like having coaches on the field.
It absolutely was, and I can testify to that because, a lot of those seniors, you got the sophomores coming in, they don't give a shit. But Derek and Eric really, really took an interest in me and Danny, and I mean, on and off the field, we were great, really close with
Danny Darling. He was one of those ones that's good secondary player also. What was funny is when Derek and Eric came in as sophomores.
Yeah.
And gosh, who were some of the guys that were older? But they would team up on somebody that was a senior, slap him in the side of the helmet in the middle of practice, and just run off.
Yeah.
like, you two are gonna get killed when you get back to the locker room. I mean, it's just, but they just
Dennis Starr is one.
Dennis Starr.
Dennis Starr is
Poor
one.
Dennis.
Derek has been on the show before, and he was talking about how big Dennis Starr was and how I always wanted
Dennis
to take
was
him
monster.
down. He was a monster. Yeah, I remember.
He not only was a monster. I mean, he set the record, state record, I believe, in the 220 back in the day.
That dude was massive.
Yeah, and he was such a good guy.
Yeah.
But Derek and Eric would mess with him during practice, and I told him a couple times, I give you full. I mean, if you want to go take him out, take him out. Just do whatever you need to do. And he'd just giggle after a while. I said, Coach, that's just them.
Yeah, it was. There's one other guy that I want to mention. Jeremy Hollers.
Yeah.
Was also a huge influence on me and took a lot of interest on me.
Jeremy coached my grandson's team this past year.
He coached my son's football. Well, wait, was your grandson
Lachlan Walker.
on 4th grade?
Third. No, he was on. I think he was on
Wait, what sport?
football. Yeah, so he
4th
must
grade.
have been 4th grade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because my son was on that team.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so that's awesome. So your grandson was on that team.
Mm-hmm.
My son was on that team. Holler's son's on that team. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy's still fast.
Well, both you guys were incredibly fast, and you were good football players, and you enjoyed the game, and you played full tilt.
Well, for me, it was a way to get out aggression legally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could just nail somebody, and it was so good for me to be able to go out on the field and do that. You know,
I thoroughly enjoyed it when I played it. Had a great time.
I miss it so much.
My youngest brother told me that he would have been a hockey player if hockey would have been in Farmington.
Yeah.
Because he went, when he graduated high school, instead of going into college, he went into the Guard, and then he went into the Air Force,
Okay.
and then started school back while he was in the Air Force. But he was stationed in Grand Forks, North Dakota, learned how to skate, and the rinks, to rent the rinks, he said they were so packed that a lot of times him and his buddies could only get in at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hockey matches at 2 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of Air Force guys.
Dang.
He said, no kidding. He said, if you want to get aggression out, and you want to play, and he loves it, or loved it.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm 61, he's 59 now probably. So yeah, he told me he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we're sitting here doing this podcast on the day that the U.S. hockey team just got a gold medal.
Isn't that
morning.
wild?
That's wild.
I was going to ask you, have you been keeping up with the Olympics?
I love it.
My wife is an Olympic fiend, and she gets control over the TV every 2 years for 2 weeks.
Now,
And
some
otherwise,
of it I could do without, but I enjoy the hockey part of it. The curling is what gets me. I can sit there and giggle. That's good times. It would be a lot of fun to do it, but I mean,
we actually watched the final match. Who beat us in the gold? Was it Sweden?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But that's a wild sport.
I watched. It was some kind of videos on X or something the other day, and it was somebody sent it to me. It's these two grandparents that are probably about mine and Liz's age, that had these Swiffer mops out in front of their Rhomba, that vacuums their house, and they're doing all that in front of it. I thought it was phenomenal.
That's hilarious.
I thought it was really good.
That's hilarious.
But I like some of the downhill skiing stuff. I mean, those crazy 70 or 68, 70 miles an hour.
Dude,
two little bit skis.
Why do you not hear about more people dying doing
Oh.
this? Those snowboarders are going up 50 feet in the air, man. You land wrong and you're dead.
That's fun to watch.
It is.
Yeah, it's
All my
crazy.
kids love watching the snowboard stuff.
That's good stuff.
It's crazy that Shaun White's retired. It's crazy that Peyton Manning's retired. Like, I saw his first game and his last game. That starts to make you feel a little
I can
old.
start telling you guys that Steve Morgan and I used to talk about back whenever we grew up.
Yeah.
Guys that played. Of course, when Brian Law came along, we started naming some of the plays because when we went to more of a gun setup instead of a true eye situation, we started naming some of the plays because we ran plays out of a shotgun or pistol formation, like a lot of the old single wing was.
Right.
And so you had a lot of the Green Bay Packers plays. I mean, you watch stuff today on TV, and it all just cycles. Everything that Gus did, for a long time,
I've
cycles.
been meaning to bring up Gus. I remember playing, and you were there, the first time we played Shiloh.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. Those guys weren't any more athletic than we were, but they ran this no-huddle thing. That's like, even if you could keep up with them, you were winded because they just. You remember the boards they had?
It was all brand new. Yeah,
it was all brand new.
New.
But would you agree that Gus changed football, like globally, not just locally?
And he wrote the book, and the great thing about Gus was a lot of fun to hang out with.
Was he?
Brian Law and I would pick him up and take him to the Kerm Dream Team banquet. But Gus, and I can't say I know him personally, but I was around him enough that when he was with Tulsa, Liz and I went over and watched the game. And then when he came back with Auburn, I talked to him prior to the games because they would walk the field.
Right.
Same guy. Same guy still today, I guarantee you that he was back when he coached high school.
Yeah.
Just good. Another guy that's really good with kids. Great with kids. And look at all the guys that coached with him now.
Yeah.
That are coaching college. That
Sure.
are all over.
Was it Rhett Lashley?
Lashley's at SMU.
Yep.
And, guy that I worked for this past year went to SMU this past year, Chris Wood.
Yeah.
Now Wood coached Lashley, coached with Gus. Brendan Haney, who's over at Springdale now, he coached with those guys. He's an Ozark boy. Of course, Gus came from, what was it? A little school down south.
Oh, what was that place?
But Gus Malzahn and Jay Holland played college football together.
Did they really?
They sure did.
Crazy.
But, Tommy Shoemaker is another guy. He was down Harding Academy. We would go meet with Tommy and talk about, because when we installed everything, we took from Gus, we took from Tommy. We went and visited with Coach Vines at Coach Vines and another guy that was down there. We kind of mashed and whatever you want to do, a lot of offenses together.
Sure.
But to
it's
get
just
to
like being a musician, and you get all these influences from different bands, and you write your own style song. Yeah.
Yeah. Coach Vines can eat more chips and salsa than any man I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we met with him at a little Mexican restaurant, Law and I did, down in Alma, Van Buren, wherever it was, and those two fought over the salsa. I was just wanting to learn football.
Oh man, but yeah, I remember there was a year in the NFL because I remember the Wildcat, and then the NFL adopted it, and I'll never forget watching a Miami Dolphins game and the announcer going, "It looks like they're lining up in the Wild Dolphin now." Oh my God!
Well, and they did the same thing for the Hogs. They got the Wild Hog and all that kind of stuff, tried to adapt it to whatever it may be. But I mean, NFL's a little bit different when you're paying that guy that kind of money. And you're having him do a read option, and keeping the football. I mean, he's not going to last very long. I mean, that's the game has got to evolve because you're getting so many more athletic quarterbacks, but they're not going to last as long.
Exactly.
I mean, you watch that game. That game's you go from every level. You go from 7th grade to junior high to high school.
Yes, you see it all.
The speed of the game, and you go to a college practice and you watch a D1 practice. The speed of the game is just phenomenal. And then you go to an NFL game, and you have all these All-Americans out there playing, former All-Americans.
That's why I can't watch college ball, because I grew up on NFL, and when I watch college, it looks like somebody's playing half speed.
Oh, it's just, but boys, it's just amazing to coach high school on a daily basis, and then go 6 miles up the road
and see this
and watch a practice there.
I'll never forget. Troy Aikman was commenting on a game a few years ago, and he said the biggest shock to me going from college to the NFL was the speed at which I had to deliver the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't have the time I had in college. Like, I got to get that thing out in 2 seconds, or you're getting nailed by a 300-pound dude.
Well, Dennis Starr, you were talking about Dennis a while ago. I mean, for us to have somebody that size and that fast at that level whenever we coached, I mean, he was just something that we weren't used to.
Yeah.
Now, you went to a bigger school, maybe you had 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah.
But not at Farmington at the classification we were.
Sure.
And to be 6'2" and be built like that and weigh 225 or whatever it was and be able to run like that. Now all of a sudden you got guys that are 265, 6'3" or whatever that can run like that. Yeah. And it's just amazing the amount of punishment they can deliver.
Sure. So and obviously Jason Stilwell's son's playing on the high school team now, so I've been invested in watching games.
Stilwell, guy I haven't heard. How's he doing?
He's about my size now. He's lost 80-something pounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Quit drinking, healthier than ever, feels great, looks great, thinnest he's ever been, and he's doing fantastic. I
had a game room. We talked about it earlier, but I have all the team photos of every sport that I've ever coached. We had them all over the walls.
And like I said, I saw that on your wife's Facebook. And what a cool room. Talk about that room.
Oh,
what all is in there? Because I wanted a 360. Like, I could just see a couple angles.
Now there's nothing.
Well, now there's nothing because you're moving.
We boxed it all up, and we're selling the house, and we're downsizing and all that.
Where are you moving to?
Well, we've got a little place in Florida, but we're going to buy another little small place here in Farmington.
So you're staying in Farmington.
We can't go very far because we have 6 grandkids within 45 minutes of us. So we're gonna probably be eventually 6 months down south and 6 months here, just off and on, a month at a time or whatever.
Nice.
But in the house that we have presently downstairs in the storage room, we made it into a game room for the kids. But then we just decorated with all the stuff that I've had from 30 years of coaching.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. I would go to a team photo and try to name them all, and then go all the way back to when I coached 7th grade and try to name them all. I had a hard time naming all the daggum coaches. But no, it's just, and then all of a sudden somebody would come over. You know, that's another thing about coaching, doing all this, and coaching both girls sports and boys sports. I can't tell you how many fiancés I've had the opportunity to meet, or how many, let's put it this way, how many folks that were eventually going to be a fiancé, as long as I gave the approval, apparently. You
right.
know, and I've walked 2 of my former softball players down the aisle.
Are you serious?
Cool stuff. Yeah,
that's powerful, man.
That's cool stuff. And then
that's a testament to you, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, good kids, good times, and it's just, yeah. Dara Clark, who lived with us for a couple of years, she may as well be another daughter. Her and her husband Sean and their son. And you talk about a great athlete. Of course, Dara went on and played up here for the Hogs, played softball. Her son looks just like his dad, but has the same personality and the same speed and the same swing as mom. And then Bailey Harp, who lives down in Greenbrier, I had the opportunity to walk her down the aisle. I'm married to a great guy, and they have a house full of kids, and you can just tell, the boys are all good athletes, and they got a little girl she's the youngest.
Yeah.
Poor kid's going to be mean, going to be tough.
Yep.
Just I've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Well, one thing I'll second you
that
on
game
is,
room. Was where we were.
Yeah, we're talking about the game room, but that's powerful to be able to, that amount of time and the relationships that you build.
Oh, my wife has been to countless baby showers, and she's gone to weddings that I couldn't make because of ball games.
Right.
And it's just, we get the opportunity to see that, and then so many of these kids that grew up with our kids that have children now that we run into, around town, and you go to the AAO centers and watch basketball, and inevitably you're going to run into somebody. I ran into April Lehman the other day, and her son's playing college football, and her daughter's a good basketball player, and then she's giving lessons.
Nice.
April was one that played shortstop for us, and just special young lady. So,
Yeah.
Good times. I've been very, like I said when we started this, been very blessed to be around great people.
And to second what you said just now and earlier, having a wife that is on the level, man. I couldn't imagine raising 3 boys without my wife. She does that so much, and it's like, boy, howdy. What? I'm just grateful. It's like she's homeschooled. She works nights so she can homeschool, and I mean, man, those boys are involved. Because initially, I didn't want them to be homeschooled just because anytime you were around homeschool kids in Farmington that came in, they were not well adjusted. They weren't around other people. They weren't very social. So that
was always the aspect we had problems with in athletics, is they just weren't as social.
Yeah. So that when COVID hit, I said, just homeschool them. I don't want to send my kids in mass all day. That's not the teacher's job to enforce that. If you want to do it, this is the opportunity to do it. But I want them to be involved in stuff. And my gosh, they're involved in so much. And going to Farmington, playing sports at Farmington. My oldest one's doing robotics, and he won Mentor of the Year this year. I mean, he's doing really well. That kid knows how to do CAD, all kinds of engineering stuff.
Well, you were going to Mountain Home to a robotics.
Yeah.
Tournament or whatever you guys were going to do over there. You'd call me because we were going to do this sooner.
Yeah, and they qualified for that.
My brother-in-law, Paul Rather, and his son were the ones that were in charge of that.
Are you serious?
Yes.
What
and I meant to call you and tell you that.
That's
give
wild.
Give them a hard time. But yeah, my nephew was big in robotics at Mountain Home, and they went all over the country doing different things. And he works with my brother-in-law now, same company, but a lot of what he did helped him get that job.
Yeah. Working
at that company. So that's a really cool deal.
Man, and it's a great career. I mean, going into engineering. I mean, my son knows the head of engineering at the U of A just through robotics, and
the networking is phenomenal.
It is amazing what he knows. I mean, he's learning so much, and he's putting the time. I mean, right now is robotics season. State is on next Saturday, I believe. Yeah, at Shiloh. So State's next Saturday. If they qualify, they'll go to Worlds. So the people who run the tech center that he goes to. One of them's the co-founder of Roku, Greg Garner, dirt biker. He's amazing guy. But he's sent us to the Worlds the last couple of years just to check it out, even though it didn't qualify. So we've been down to Houston to get Max, my oldest one, some just experience volunteering and checking it out. I mean, man, I don't know if you've ever been to the convention center in Houston.
Never have.
It is massive. It's a city block, basically, but every floor they've got robotics going on. It's like having 4 or 5 basketball stadiums in one room, and they've got these robots. They're shooting baskets. They're doing one-arm pull-ups.
Well, Jason Shirey was telling me about going to a basketball tournament this past year. It was kind of the same situation.
Yeah.
You go up on this floor to go to the next. I mean, that's kind of.
It's
may have been to Houston. I don't know, but yeah, that's.
And if you need to wrap, let me know.
No, I was just checking. I keep getting texts. I thought I turned this thing off, but it's it. We're already having coaches stuff. 6A West softball. Yeah, there we go.
Well, being in a situation like that, I mean, you've got teams from all over the world. I mean, you talk about diversity. I mean, it is. You know, you got China, you got Japan, you got Israel, you got.
That's awesome.
You know, it's crazy, and everybody's there. And the principles of first, you know, of the robotics program are awesome, and everybody's it's just a great community.
Well, it's like going back to what we kind of got off on earlier when I moved from Fayetteville to Farmington. You know, when you go to school, when you leave the smaller community, I mean, you're just opened up to so much more culture.
Yes.
And it's so, I don't know, it's just, I think we're just fortunate to live where we live. Great country, great communities. It's just, and then having university right up here on the hill, all the resources that come with that.
100%.
And then doing what you guys are doing with the robotics and all that. That's good times. I was involved with the East program at Farmington. Coach Scrivener and I had some classes that we facilitated, and that was a lot of fun. That was good times watching kids, take on projects that they wanted to do.
Right.
Whole new way of teaching. But I mean, it's just if that's what they like, let them get after it and let's go with it. So.
Do you ever shut it off and just sit down and watch TV and chill?
Yeah. Oh, all the time. Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
I think I do. I don't know.
What do you when you have free time and you want to just relax? What do you do?
When I have free time, I've got 2 pitching greens that are 75 yards apart at the house, and I love cigars. So I'll normally take a cigar out and I'll hit golf balls for an hour.
Yeah.
So that's probably, but that's probably where you end up making up lineups. That and the drives back from Springdale or whatever it may be. My wife and I, as far as our family planning, it's always been, let's take off and drive to Tulsa. Let's talk about all this, get everything lined up for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
That's something we've always done. But yeah, as far as just winding down, that's probably my time. Yeah. Go home at night. This is always something always going on with this.
Yeah.
But that's probably it. What about you? Music?
Man, once I started having kids, I mean, they just became my life, When and I'll admit, when kids are little, as a father, you can read to them, you can do stuff, but mamas are way more important when they're little.
Oh.
Just being nurturing, and once the kids got older and you can converse with them, dads are more tactile, you want to do things with them, and when they're just a lump, it's like, what am I going to do with this baby? But now that they're getting older, it's like they're my whole life, and
wait till you get grandkids.
Dude.
That's good times.
But like we got to be at 3 places at once sometimes. It's like, how are we going to get here? How are we going to do this? We got robotics. We got a show coming up. So we got rehearsals going on. My youngest one's getting ready to start racing dirt bikes, and I mean it's just that's my life right now. Is just being a dad. That's all I care about.
You talk about trying to be same, different places at the same time.
Yeah.
My parents, like I said, when we grew up, there was 4 of us. We all played ball.
Right.
We all played everything.
Yeah.
And I can remember baseball games where how I got to the field, I don't know, but I would see my mom, and then later my dad might take me home.
Right.
Because she had to go
She had
someplace
to get
else.
somewhere.
To,
Yep. 100%.
See a couple other ones. And and it was nice because we were all 2 years apart, so there's always maybe 2 of us playing on the same team, and then the other 2 maybe playing on 2 other teams, and then just kind of moved.
You become masters of logistics.
Oh, they were phenomenal with it. Yeah. They were really good at it.
Really.
And my wife, it was funny because when I started coaching, and she's been in business. She worked for Unilever for 26 years, been with Phillips Norelco for about 6 or 7. She, I mean, as football wise, on Monday nights it's JV nights, JV and 8th grade nights. On Tuesday nights it was late practices.
Yep.
Wednesday night, just depends on who you're playing, what time practice over with. Thursday was junior high games.
Yep.
Still had practice high school that day. Friday nights were high school games.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning was TLC for the team. You got Saturday afternoon off, and you came back in Sunday at 1 o'clock to get everything ready for the upcoming week.
Right.
So she was the one.
Yeah.
And then basketball season comes along, like I said, for those first 3 years.
Yeah.
You played basketball, of course, at small school. Basketball games every night. You do 7th grade on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And then you get into softball back in the day, and you played 4 nights a week, 3 nights a week, and then sometimes on Saturdays.
Sure.
And then at Farmington back in the day, track. When track meets came along and there was only 6 or 7 of us, we shut everything else down, and all of us were track coaches.
God, I got sick of looking at David McCash's ass. He was always just a little bit faster than me.
He was a good quarterback, too.
He was always just a little faster than me, and just drove me nuts. But I follow Jessica Barnes Jessica McCash on Facebook. I love seeing what her and David are doing and what their kids are doing. It's wild to think. If I'm in front of my dad and I say something about, man, it sucks getting old. He's like, I don't want to hear it.
I was in my 50s. I called my dad one morning. I said, I feel like a 60-year-old man after he asked me how I was doing. And he said, you don't know anything about being 60-year-old. Now that I'm 61, it's like, yeah, I do know now. We laughed about that the other night when we talked. But, no, you were talking Cassius. Oh, I remember him playing quarterback. He was fun. Good guy.
He's a great guy.
He would hit you, too.
Yeah.
He was fun to watch. Yeah. You guys, much of you came along with that. And that was great about, it's kind of like Alan Holland's programs. That was his reputation. These guys are going to hit you.
Yeah.
When you come over here, you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
And the group that you came through with was kind of the same way.
Well,
that was fun to coach.
It was a group of guys that loved hitting.
And we had to back you off during practice because we want you to be able to play on Friday night.
Right.
So, and there were sometimes, kind of like back when I played, there were sometimes during the week the practices were more physical than that game was on Friday night.
Yeah.
And that was just because, I played with Tommy Donnie and Scott Holloway and Patrick Fitzgerald, Roy Bynum, and those guys, and Ricky Hudson, and during the middle of practice, maybe go blindside someone just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun.
And you knew sometime during that hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, somebody's going to get you.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
100%. You could always get 10 guys together on a basketball court or get a few people out and play baseball. You can't get 22 guys in full pads together on a field. Once that door closes, unless you play college or something, it's over, man.
Yeah,
you can play backyard ball, and we play backyard ball with my boys all the time. So one of the first things I taught them when they were old enough was the routes. Let's go out and run routes, and just catch it. Dinks every time. They're 5 years old. And I'm trying to throw these passes at them. But like you said, the repetition, the discipline, and those kinds of things, teaching them how to tackle. Theo started playing football in 4th grade, and I told him, I said, you're probably not going to start. It's your first year playing. A lot of these kids have been playing for a couple of years. I said, just get out there, remember the fundamentals. And he went out there, and he loves hitting. Yeah. And all the coach Hollers told me, all the coaches said, man, he listens and he likes to hit. And so he got to start as inside linebacker, and
that's cool.
Had a great season.
That's good.
Yeah, he had a lot of fun. And
I always told my son-in-law is always talking about it. For instance, but there's a lot of guys that I coached that maybe the light didn't come on until junior high.
Yeah.
But the light will come on.
It will come on, yeah.
And once it does, because eventually you get tired of getting hit.
Yeah.
It's time, hey, I want to hit somebody.
Well, football was something that I needed. I had some, my aunt took her own life when I was 10, and it was kind of, messed me up a little bit. I didn't understand what that was like. And so I had some kind of demons going into high school and some things that had happened, and I needed that. I looked forward to football practice. I know a lot of guys like, we got to go to practice. I wanted to get out there and hit. I wanted the drills. I didn't want to run plays. I wanted to get lined up against Jake Oxford or Lee Seibert or Thad Hammonds and knock the shit out of them.
Thad's got a son or two that's playing that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Thad's got a son on the high school team, yeah.
I tell you what, and here's the other deal, and not to cut you off, but
No, not at all.
Tommy Tice was hired to be the football coach.
Yep.
72 years old when he took the job. Now, Tommy and I have been friends forever. Brian Law introduced us, and I think the world of Tommy. And
he's been around a while, because I know people that played for him at Huntsville.
He's great for kids.
Yeah.
Tommy told me some great stories about back when he played. Tommy's a quarterback at Huntsville back when he played.
Was he really?
Yeah. He told me one time that he was a sophomore, and he's going to kill me for telling this story. But he's telling me one time he was a sophomore, and he's just over there, sucking on his mouthpiece, and all of a sudden the senior goes down, and they yell for Tommy.
Yeah.
And it's end of the second quarter. And Tommy goes in, and, the first play, they run a little handoff to him. The kid gets piled up, nothing. Second play, they call a little pass to the outside, a little flat route, and Tommy throws it and gets picked off. And the kid goes down and scores. Get the ball back right before half. Tommy throws again, throws another pick. So he throws 2 picks, inside of probably 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
They get in the locker room, and the coach doesn't really say anything to him. Talking about adjustments they need to make defensively and so on. Get ready to go back out on the field, and coach grabs and says, "Hey, Tommy, do me a favor." I said, "In the second half, won't you try throwing it to them and let us pick it off?" I thought it was the greatest story ever told.
That's
Good stuff. Tommy's just a good guy, and he's been around so many situations and so many kids. He's doing it this time, and I think he's done it for quite a few years, where he thoroughly enjoys everything that he's doing right now.
He
Every
looks
day,
like it.
all the kids that are involved, the parents, the administration, he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
And the guys that he brought in are phenomenal coaches that are the same way. They enjoy kids. And they're not doing it because they're trying to make $1. They don't need a raise next year.
Right.
They're doing it because they
Well, no,
enjoy what they're
that's
doing.
one of the things I respect about coaches, is because you're giving your life to these kids who are not your kids, but it's so important to them, because if I didn't have the kind of male leadership that I had with my coaches, you, Coach Morgan, Coach Holland, Coach Bond was there.
Ron's a good guy. Ron was a lot of fun.
I remember it was closed campus, and a couple of us would run up to Jim's Razorback Pizza and grab some pizzas and come back and sell them to kids. And I remember one time I ran up there by myself. You remember when the new field house was new?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey, that thing was phenomenal when it was new.
I know, I'm surprised.
Coming out of what we were there at the old gym.
I know.
In that one little room that was probably about as small as this right here.
Exactly.
And putting 5-6 coaches in there.
I tell my kids, they got these facilities, but they practice on our old game field. And I'm like, because I remember you spending hours out there mowing that summer gun. I remember y'all took care of that field.
Yeah,
I remember going.
grass.
One of my favorite stories I tell my kids is how you coaches, we'd go to a field and y'all'd walk the field. I can't remember if it was Gentry or what, but Coach Holland was like, "This field's a damn quagmire," or "This field's got potholes in it." But our field was pristine.
Well,
man.
let's see. That all came from Allen. I mean,
Did
Allen
it?
was big on, hey, let's take care of our facilities, make the kids proud of what we have.
No, that's great.
And that's what you do. And
Yeah.
That's Ron. I was going to tell you a story. Ron Bond, Jay Holland took us all to a coach's clinic in Dallas one time, and like talking about ice skating, we'll go with Kevin. I had never put skates on, and Bond says, "Oh man, you got to do this. You got to try this." And we're at the Galleria Mall, and it's Jay Holland, Ron Bond, and myself. Steve and J.D. Matthews took off to do something else, and this is back when I was volunteering, and I tried to skate, and we're over there hanging on to the wall, and it's lunchtime. And so all that the food court was around the ice rink or whatever,
Yeah.
and these women were cracking up watching us. Of course, Ron was a big old boy, Jay's a big old boy.
Yeah.
Here I am, the little skinny guy trying to run around, not skinny anymore, but trying to run around, on skates. One lap around, we were done. Bond busted it. Bond busted it so big, and he was the one that was supposed to be the skater.
Where's he now? I know it's
He was
Prairie
Prairie
Grove
Grove
for a
for, I don't know if he's still there or not, but I think he was. We haven't talked in a while, but he was, he was in administration, and then I think he just wanted to kind of roll out and teach a little bit the last few years before he retired. He spent a lot of time in Texas.
Did he?
He coached a long time. Well, that's where he came.
He's from there, right?
Yeah, he came from Texas whenever he came up here to, coach with us.
Because I didn't start playing football until 7th grade.
Yeah.
And the reason I started playing was because of the bullying was so bad in elementary. Because I was a nerd. I was very sheltered, very, I like to read on the playground. People throw footballs at me, kick soccer balls at me, and I'd come home crying, they're being mean to me. And finally in 7th grade, I was like, man, if I can't beat them, I'm just going to join them. I'm going to start playing football. And I did not realize how good that was for me. Because, it let me get aggression out on the people who were fucking with me.
There you go.
And then we became friends. And it's like, you didn't have to necessarily be best friends, but at least you could gain some respect. Mm-hmm. And then, I went on to, I remember we were playing Berryville as a sophomore. Nathan Minnis was running back. I think Dallas Oxford was before he I think he got mono that year or something. But it was Dallas Oxford, Nathan Benish for the running back, and like second play of the game, Benish goes down, and broke his leg. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I just hear Durham, and I'm like, what? And I get out there, first play I run, touchdown, and I started from then on my sophomore year. I was like, man, I won't start till I'm a senior, But I'd had a growth spurt, and I was aggressive, and I loved to hit, and that was a great opportunity. And I it's hard not to score yards when you got Jeremy Hollers running in front of you and knocking people down.
Jeremy was so much
Jeremy
fun.
was a beast.
He was fun. Guy, he used to sweat so much. We get footballs back after he carried. He'd pull his shirt up. Holy cow, he's going to hear this and he's going to get upset with me. But guys, we just kicked the football over the side. Couldn't use it anymore.
Yeah, it's worthless. The guy is covered in hair too. Like he's half Sasquatch.
Oh, he's something.
I'll never forget. We were playing a game in I want to say it was Green Forest. It was raining like hell. Like there was standing water on the field, and we had these towels. And this would have been I think it's my junior year, but first time you get tackled, towel soaked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember getting up. I don't even know. I haven't seen Jamie Greenlee in years, but he was.
There's another one.
You
get all these names and just keep.
He comes up to me after the first play and he goes, "Man, my towel's wet. Can I use yours?" And of course, mine's sopping wet. I'm like, "Yeah, you can have it." what do you mean? But and then I remember this was off season. I think probably after our sophomore year, but I was mouthing Jeremy Hollers hard. We were friends, but I was mouthing him pretty hard about talking about how much better I was than he was. And anyway, he proceeds to pick me up and throw me into a trash can, and I deserved it.
No, he's strong.
But I didn't think anything of it. But we go out I got on the incline press and go to lift up, and the thing comes down on me. Wrist was broken.
Oh, no.
I had broken my wrist. I brought that up to him when we were during fourth grade. He's like, "Man, why you got to bring that up?" But no, I love Jeremy Hollers. Great guy, great coach, great dad. It's been fun reconnecting with him.
That's another thing to see you guys all, have your families and what you give back to the community and the things that you're doing. That's phenomenal.
Well, it's been a reconnect for me because when my kids were born, I had so much family drama growing up. Different families fighting, and I just said, I don't want any of that for my family. I want to really kind of recluse for a little bit and kind of stay out of this stuff and let my kids grow up in an environment, that's a little bit different. And I feel like public school kind of trains you to follow the popular thing is in elementary school. I was that way. I was doing things because that was the kind of shirt. I don't know if it's that way today, but
Oh, I still think it is. I think socially you see all that, and that's well, that's the cool kid. That's
the kind of clothes I need to wear, Abercrombie or whatever. And I didn't want that for my kids. I wanted them to develop their own style and their own personalities. And then once you've done that and you have that confidence, now you can go to school and I think it sets you up a little bit better for being able to have your own identity versus following along with the crowd. I don't know. You never know if it's right or wrong until
I don't know.
they get out there in the world.
For about 30-something years, all I've ever done is wear sweats and whatever the school gives me. So yeah.
What did you think about the Super Bowl this year? Do you keep up with the NFL much?
I do. And I made a bet with my assistant coaches. I have 2 female coaches and a male coach, and
on your staff.
On staff, and I told them, I said, whichever bunch you take, I'll take the other bunch, and the loser will have to cook dinner.
Okay.
And I enjoy cooking anyway, so okay. I knew I was going to get.
What's your specialty?
Oh gosh, I cook anything, but mainly I really like Cajun food. I make great gumbo. Now,
really?
Gumbo I do shrimp, chicken, crawfish, little andouille sausage.
What's your ancestry? Where are your ancestors from? Do you know?
Yeah, Norway. So nowhere close to
Yeah.
So yeah, that's enjoy cooking. Of course, I got New England. I got 4.5 points. Get some backsides kicked, and so I get to cook. So I did that last night. We cooked, and the funny thing was they wanted smash burgers, so we made burgers and all that last night. Had a good time.
That's awesome.
I've got a great coaching staff now. I mean, it's kind of
how do you go about that? So when you get named head coach at Harvard, you get to choose who you're.
So one of the coaches was just hired prior to me being hired.
Okay.
I really don't know the story behind what the situation was with the prior staff.
Yeah.
Never really wanted to know.
Yeah, sure.
None of my business.
Sure.
I know when I got hired, hey, we're going to roll into this and we're going to do things a certain way. And then all of a sudden I decided, heck with it, we're going to go back and do exactly what I want to do. I wasn't going to ease into it. We'll do what we did at Farmington.
Good.
And so.
Well, hell, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's what we did. And then I had a young lady who, her dad actually called me and said, hey, she's volunteering at this school. She'd like to come talk to you, so maybe she could volunteer with you for a year. And that worked out well. And then this past year I got to hire a guy that had been a head coach, at another school. And so, yeah, it's a good staff, and they're great with the kids. And we have tremendous kids. That first year it was tough because they really hadn't had.
How many years have you been there? 2?
2 going on 3. This will be a third year.
This is your third year.
Yeah.
You guys went to state championship last year, didn't you?
Last 2 years, yeah.
You both years?
Yeah. Bentonville beat us both years.
Bentonville.
Yeah.
You got their number now, man.
Boy, they've got a kid that I think she's going to A&M, and then their backup's going to NC State. So, and we've got a junior.
But you gotta say that's pretty awesome for the first 2 years to go to state championship.
Well, and there again, I've been blessed every year that I've coached. We've had great kids, and so when I came along, and timing's everything. We talked about that earlier. We had I came along, and there was just kids that are good players.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they needed a plan. And then they needed an off-season program.
Right.
And it was just, hello, sweetie. It was just, here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it. First year, there was a couple kids that were used to doing things their own way, and it was kind of tough. And one of them decided after that first season that she needed to transfer to go someplace else, and that was hard for me to accept. But I fully understood that it's going to be my program. We're going to run it my way.
Yeah.
And that's
you got
that's
to.
kind of the way we've always done things. But
so I know we're on a little time constraint, so I want to get to a couple questions I had for you. What is it like going to a state championship?
You're going to love on me, huh?
You feel free to fling her off. She's.
I got a couple of them at home. Didn't think I'd
Okay.
ever enjoy cats, but yeah, we've got Bert and Ernie at home.
Okay.
Steve Williams used to make fun of all my tools and call them Sesame Street stuff, so I've always kept up with that.
Yeah, that's Bastet. She's a needy one.
Yep.
But what is it like? I mean, you have this incredible season. You're going to play for the biggest title in the state. You've won it 3 times. I mean, that's awesome. What is it like going into that game? What do you say to your players before a game like that?
Well, there's a lot of things. Different teams, different years, different situations.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
It just depends on what's up. I mean, the first year that I was at Harbor, we were in Greenbrier taking batting practice, went to have lunch, and they had the TV on. No, the kids had their phones out, and everybody turned it to the Farmington game. Set their phones up to where we could watch Farmington play Pea Ridge in the state championship, and Farmington won it that year.
Yeah.
Which was really kind of cool, and the speech I had for them was, pretty much just do what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the moment. I will tell you that I tell every team every time that we've gone, in life you got to stop and smell the roses. You can't just be, I don't know,
Yeah. No, that's good.
overly aggressive on every
that's
occasion.
good advice.
Every once in a while you got to just kind of stop and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so every team that I've ever taken to the state championship, I've told them before the first pitch or before they make the announcements. And now they always introduce the teams or whatever.
Yeah.
I said, if your family's here, look up at them and wave to them.
Yeah.
And then some of them might not have family there.
Yeah.
But hell, I'd hug on them. Just let them. That's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
To know that you've done that in your high school career. So yeah, I'd never want them to be too high. I don't want them to be too low.
Yeah.
Just want them to enjoy what's going on and play as hard as you can. And if it's our day, things are going to work out.
Yeah.
We're going to win state championship. Of course, if you take my percentages, we're not real good at winning state championships.
But dude, it's hard. I mean, I know what you're saying, but still, to get there at all is an amazing feat. I mean,
well, like I said, it takes good kids, good coaches.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed throughout my entire career to work with great people and then get the opportunity to coach great kids, and then had a great upbringing. And then, of course, at home, my wife pretty much runs the show and has taken care of things outside of that and allowed me to spend more time, in my career than probably a lot of coaches get the opportunity to.
what do you feel like if you look back on what you've done? What are you most proud of?
The relationships that I have with the kids after they leave.
Good answer.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
probably the best. I mean, when my phone rings or when I get a text and maybe they want to come visit or come see Liz and I or invite us to a wedding or whatever it may be, or just say hi. You know, I tell them all when they graduate. I try to write softball kids. I've done this for many, many years, but I try to write them a letter for their senior night, and just tell them, hey, here's what I think, and here's how it's been, and I greatly appreciate you. And and at the bottom, I always say, if you ever need anything, call.
Yeah.
And most of them do. If nothing else, just to tell me, hey, here's what's going on, and here's how I'm doing. So
that's pretty awesome.
It's really cool.
You feel like you got a good group this year?
If they can overcome their coaching, they'll be all right. Yeah, they'll be good. No, we have some really good kids. We've got a young lady in the circle that's committed to Missouri. We've got a couple kids that are, one's going to Arkansas Tech this next year, another one's committed to Arkansas Tech the following year.
Yeah.
We've got really talented players, but they all understand the roles, and they do it well. It's not. What's wild is you have a kid like Dots who's in the circle that's going to go to college and get paid to play.
Right.
She understands it's about us and not her, and when you've got them all on that page, and in business or whatever it may be,
right?
You can be successful when you have that kind of feeling within your program. And off-season program was phenomenal. These kids worked hard to get faster and stronger, and they definitely did that. So it's just coming together, and hopefully the fundamentals pay off. Big thing is pitching's always above hitting. Start the season out. As long as we hit a little bit better than we have in the last couple of weeks, we'll be all right.
How many games do you play in a regular season?
It depends how many tournament games. Now you're limited to 30. Back when I first started coaching, there was no limit. You could play as many games as you wanted to. You could start at a certain date, and then you finish with the state championship game. But you may as well just go home with me, sweetie.
You can take that one.
Yeah, I've got 2 at home. You'd be fun with them.
What kind of cats do you have?
They're old barn cats that Eric brought to me from his mom and dad's farm. And Liz TLC, they were wild as can be.
Like feral cats.
They were wild, and Liz has TLC'd them to where now at 7 o'clock in the morning, they will paw the back glass on our door in our master bedroom until she comes out and gives them little treats or feeds them.
Yeah.
And then they'll go off in the woods. And one of them, Ernie, she missed.
So they're indoor, outdoor.
Yeah.
These
are
too.
They don't like being inside. We've opened up the door, let them inside before, but they'll go right back out.
Oh, they don't like being inside.
They like being outside. And now Ernie, she'll be gone for a day or two. Then she'll come back out of the woods, ready to do. Bert, he's a big baby. He stays around the house.
I probably shouldn't tell this story, but my youngest one has been wanting to go camp. We've got 15 acres back here, and he wanted to camp by himself the other night. He's been asking for weeks. I'm like, dude, it's 30 degrees. I'm not letting you camp outside by yourself. And so the other day he goes, Mom says it's going to be 54 tonight. She said, if you said yes, I can go camp by myself. I said, fine, let's go set it up. So, and it's, I don't know, it's probably 400 yards from here to the north. And so we went up, set it up, 8 o'clock, and I think we went up there at 6 o'clock. And he took a can of Hormel beans. He had his cooking pot. He took a block of cheese and a cheese grater. And I told him, just take a walkie and let me know, if you need anything. And so I'm in here with the other boys. He's up there. And every freaking 5 minutes, my wife, Mama Bear to Teddy Bear, you okay up there? I'm like, Mama Bear, get off the walkie and let the boy cook. So I went up there. I told him, I'm going to come check on you before I go to bed. So I'm up there around midnight, and he was passed out cold. And I was like, man, I still feel right leaving him up here. So I just slept up there with him until my alarm went off.
That's good.
So, and it was 54 degrees, so it was nice to have some. Oh, I asked him the next day. I said, I know you wanted to do it alone. Did it bother you that I slept with you that night? And he goes, no, it was pretty good for body warmth. So I was like, well, that's kind of a win, I guess.
My son, Austin, he built a fort there at the house, and he'd stay out there every once in a while. That's when I was a kid, we used to love camp. I mean, that was our week-long vacations. Mom and Dad would take us to Prairie Creek, or what's the other one up there towards Missouri? I don't know, but anyway, we'd go up there and spend a week at the lake, ski, fish, and the whole bit. My wife, her idea of camping out's the Marriott. So We don't camp.
It changes as you,
It does.
as you grow older.
It does.
You go, you go from the little. I remember my grandpa loved those little pop-up tents, and you'd hike 10 miles out in the woods, and then you'd camp and do all that stuff. And now my parents have a big RV that's like the Marriott. It's, it's pretty cool, but it's a different style of camping for sure. Well, Coach, I know you got other stuff you got to do. Thank you so much for coming on.
Man, I enjoyed it.
It's been an
Thank you
honor
very
for
much.
me.
Well, it's been awesome catching up with you. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
It would be a lot of fun if you could get like 5 or 6 guys that you played ball with and get Morgo and I in here. And
Would you do that?
And we could tell stories about what we talked about you guys. After you were in the locker room, we went to the office.
Sure.
Yeah, we could have a really good
Well, it's
time.
kind of like my dad. My dad never told me stories when I was a kid. It was just always, you're a wild son of a bitch, you need to calm it down. And then the stories start coming out after I graduated. It's like, you were wilder than I was, man. You're driving cars through fences. And it's like, geez, I thought I was bad. But
that's like my dad. I mean, that's like after all of us moved out of the house and he started telling stories.
Yeah.
Oh, we were saints compared to what
I
he
know,
was.
right?
I mean, him and his brothers. And,
you feel so bad about yourself. And, man, I screwed up so bad. And then you hear the stories about your parents. You're like, man, come on now.
Yeah.
But you want your kids to be safe. You want them to be good people. Most importantly, you want them to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Be
I
good
agree.
people, love each other. That's what I hope for my kids. Is just love everyone and be a kind person, and the rest will follow.
I think a lot of people think that about me, except for some umpires. Besides that, I think Man,
I believe
appreciate
that.
you. Thank
Well,
you
if
so
you'd
much
come
for
on
having-
with Morgo,
Oh, that would be fun.
I'll make it
We'd
happen.
have a great time.
I don't
Get
know.
5 or 6 of you guys in here.
We'll
One
let
afternoon, one evening.
let you focus on the season. When's season end?
The season ends May 23rd, state championship game.
Okay.
So-
So you'll
I
probably
would
win.
just have a great time just sitting back listening to that.
You win the state championship on May 23rd, and then we'll have you on and talk about that with Morgo and a couple Farmington
that'd
guys.
be awesome.
You would do that?
Oh, that would be so much fun. Yeah.
I'll
love
make
to.
it happen.
Love
Let's
to.
get through the season. I'm gonna be following it.
And then we can bring Harper in here and talk about his Prairie Grove days and give him a hard time about him being the quarterback for Prairie Grove. I used to love to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Did you not know he was quarterback for Prairie Grove?
I don't think we got into that.
I used to tell him all the time when he played against Farmington, he was our best player.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
good times, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.